get started with our presentation. Right. So today we're going to talk about developing your own personal leadership philosophy. Before we actually get into the presentation, I want to talk a little bit about the workspace, our leadership center. First, the Leadership Center is actually a physical space on campus, as well as a program within the Center for Student Involvement. Feel free anytime throughout the semesters to stop by in and see the space, see us. We are on the second floor of the Leadership Center in the Kent State Student Center. We're separate from the actual CSI office. We are right up the main stairs. You can study there, you can use the space, it's free for students to just go in and hang out. There's a whiteboard in there that you can use, or if you need a quiet space to study or eat lunch. We also host other events such as the Kent Talks, which teaches you about civil discourse, and other workshops like this one, and even we have a half-day conference in the spring, which we'll talk about later. And all our events are free and open to all students and staff on campus. We also have our leadership model, so that includes interpersonal, community, and interpersonal. So this is what we believe in. We won't go into depth on this, but we are lucky enough to have our own model here at Kent State University. When we're creating our programs, we prioritize these topics and our events, and we believe that the interpersonal, and community aspects of leadership are working in harmony, and we try to create positive change within the community. Hi, everyone. My name is Andrea Specht. I am the student leadership consultant that will be presenting our workshop today. I am a senior deaf education major here at Kent State, and I will actually be going student teaching next semester, so I'm super excited. And I'm also a second year SLC here on the Leadership Center. So this is what we will be talking about. So we're going to talk about, touch on the topics of what a leadership philosophy is in general, how we would create one, and I will also be providing you guys resources so that you guys can create your own. So what is leadership philosophy? First off, leadership philosophy is all based about what leadership means to you. So I want you to look at this question, what does leadership mean to you? Think about it for a second, and then feel free to unmute your mics. You can raise your hands, or you can just do it freely, or you can use the chat feature to answer the question above. But what your definition of leadership is impacts what you believe your leadership philosophy and how you create your leadership philosophy, where it's all around that. So I'll give you just a couple minutes to think about it. I just want to gauge where everyone is at before we get started so that we can touch on points that are important to all of you. I'll pull up the chat here so I can see it as well. So I am not hearing anything, so I'm going to give you guys an example. In terms of leadership, I took this right from the Leadership Center's website, so you can feel free to look at that. For this workshop, I have defined leadership as the process of influencing others towards a common vision by using a set of skills and capabilities that can be taught, refined, and ultimately enhanced. So as the Leadership Center, we do see it as being skills that you can enhance and develop so that you can lead yourself and your team into a common goal.
Andrea, we have quite a few in the chat that I know you can't see because you're screen sharing, so I can read a few of them for you.
Awesome, thank you. It's not even letting me pull it up.
Oh, goodness, yes, I can help out here. So we have leadership to me is making everyone feel comfortable in the space around them. Another is, to me, it would be to gather people around to spread new ideas, to get through thick and thin, Leadership is kind of being a role model to people and leading them in a direction to be a better person or to be better at something. Another person says to go first, being able to be a good role model, being the person that someone looks up to, guiding people with the knowledge and wisdom that you have, being inspirational and being someone who is looked up to, encouraging others to reach their fullest potential, being an individual who not only inspires and wants to help with others to achieve their goals, but also try to help through themselves and what abilities they have to motivate. And the last one we have is being able to inspire others and successfully delegate to work towards a common goal.
Those are all awesome. You guys sound like amazing leaders already. So thank you guys for sharing. That is awesome. I really like, someone said encouraging others. There was one that I really liked. I mean, they were all great, but so thank you guys for sharing. So now that I know that what leadership means to you, you guys can get started. So first we have to define what a leadership philosophy is. So a leadership philosophy, you take both the general definition of leadership and the general definition of philosophy, and you kind of like put them together. So a leadership philosophy is a set of beliefs, values, and principles that strongly influence how we interpret reality and guide our understanding of influencing humans. And this is by George Ambler. This is the common accepted definition of a leadership philosophy. It definitely can be tweaked to your definition of leadership, as I think you guys have created so many of them, and that's awesome. And I'm definitely going to look back in that chat because I really like those. So now that we have a general idea of what a leadership philosophy is, we will go and talk about what the impact and the importance of having a personal leadership philosophy, or PLP as it's commonly referred to. So an impact and importance, it provides consistency. So this kind of acts as a filter for your actions. So your leadership philosophy guides you into consistently responding to certain situations and how to like react. It also keeps you headed in the right direction. So you have the direction that you want to go, you know the direction you want to go, and it keeps you staying straight rather than swaying onto the side paths. It keeps you going in the right direction that you want to go. It provides a means to better connect yourself, not only to your work. Did someone say something? I'm sorry. No? I can go slower, I'm sorry if I'm talking too fast. So this provides a means to better connect yourself. So if you know what your goals are, then that can better connect you into keeping you straight as the direction and keeping you connected to your goals. And it also contributes to an overall self-awareness. So if you know your philosophy, you know yourself better than other people do. It helps you stand for what you are and aids in keeping you true to who you are as well. I want to touch about why do you think these impacts are important in sense of having a personal leadership philosophy and how you interact as a leader using a leadership philosophy. And again, Jessica, if there's people commenting in the chat, if you could read those, please. Otherwise, if you feel free to unmute yourself, if you want to turn your video on, that is okay too.
While others are thinking, I'm happy to chime in, Andrea. To me, I think a lot of these things are super important because we need to have some sort of self-awareness to understand what the people, or I guess how the people we're leading are perceiving our leadership and maybe the reasons why behind the things that we're doing. So I always think of that as being the most important thing for a personal leadership philosophy, is just overall self-awareness.
I think that's very important because then you know how you react to other people, and if other people don't know, then you can respond to them accordingly if you know how to.
I can also jump in here. I really think, and I really love your point about goals. I feel like if you don't understand and have that self-awareness of where you want your actions to be headed, it's really hard to prioritize what's important to you as a leader. So just knowing like what you value and where, you know, your personal feelings lie can help make those goals a little bit more easily identifiable.
I agree. I'm a very messily organized person, so I have goals that I want, but it's hard for me to kind of put together how do I make that goal achievable. And I think having a personal leadership philosophy will definitely help keeping you on that straight and narrow to focus on your goals and know what they are. Thanks, Haley. What else do you think is important about the impact of having a personal leadership philosophy in terms of what has been listed? So it provides consistency. What does consistency help in a leadership position? How does heading in the right direction help? How does connecting to your passion, to your work, to even others, maybe those that you're leading? And then we talked about self-awareness, but you're more than welcome to touch on that again as well.
Andrea, in the chat, Danielle said, understanding your own self and using your qualities to help shape what you truly want in the outcome, using the positive to create an overall wonderful outcome.
Oh, that's awesome. I like that. I think that's incredibly important. Yeah, that definitely helps. I think you can add that in here if you want. Thanks, Danielle. I'll just give a couple more minutes if anyone else wants to chime in. Otherwise, we will continue. And I apologize about not seeing the chat. Okay, well, thank you guys for sharing. I really thank you to everyone who shared. Those were awesome points. I would let you guys think about this. Having a leadership philosophy and thinking about a leadership philosophy is no easy task, and it's not something that's going to happen overnight. So I understand it's something that will definitely impact you for the greater, and it'll help you not only as yourself, but as a team member. All right. So I want to touch about what PLP is not, just to clear up some confusion. So a PLP is separate from an actual organization's goals. Your goals and values can line up with the organization that you're working with, but they are not the same thing. It does not summarize past experiences and accomplishments. It can include stories from the past. It should have moments from the past that have shaped you as a leader, but is not a summary of your whole life story. It is also not a description of yourself. It's you don't talk about your hair color or your eye color. It's more about how and what you want to be as a leader. And it also is not set in stone. Typically, once you have your PLP, it stays consistent, but over time you will change as an individual, thus yourself changing as a leader. So your focuses can be evolving and they'll continue to evolve. So you're prioritizing different things than you used to. So then your PLP will change over time, and that's okay. And this, like I said, does not occur overnight. It takes a lot of time getting to know yourself, being able to have a personal leadership philosophy to help you guide yourself as a leader. Now we're going to talk about how you are to create one. With all of the positives that we talked about, we're going to know how to create one as well. So first I want to talk about what goes into a leadership philosophy. So what are those little key points that you're going to touch upon? So you're going to touch upon personal values and beliefs, your goals, your passions, what you want to achieve. You want to touch upon individual views and theories about what leadership means to you. So we already did that in this presentation. So you're already one step ahead in creating your personal leadership philosophy. It also should include your styles. So how do you communicate? How do you handle conflict? How do you confront someone? You can use there's Myers-Briggs, there's the colors test. There's many of those that can help you figure out what your communication styles are and how you manage yourself as a leader, which will definitely impact how you affect a company or how you affect your organization. It also should include your expectations of yourself as well as others. What do you expect yourself to achieve, and how do you expect your others to achieve, and how do you react and respond to that? And then it also should be prioritizing in relation to like your work and your life. So what is most important to you, and what are you focused on in terms of your leadership career? So these are some questions to ask yourself when you are creating your personal leadership philosophy. Of course, you don't have to ask yourself all these questions. There's also more questions you can ask yourself. There's so many. So I will read off all these questions. I want you to take one or two out that you want to answer, and I would like a couple of volunteers who are willing to answer a question of their choice. So one question is, what core values describe and guide you as a leader? What traits, characteristics, skills, styles, motivation, goals, etc. do you bring to leadership that makes you effective? How have personal experiences shaped your views on leadership? What are your leadership communication and conflict styles, and how do you use them proactively? What are your expectations for yourself and others? How do you encourage and motivate others? And what are your priorities in relation to leadership, work, and life? So just pick out one or two to think about, and I will gladly accept answers.
Something that I used a lot when I was developing my personal leadership philosophy was just that very first question of what core values describe and guide who you are as a leader. The reason I gravitate towards that one, I think, is because I focus a lot on relationships and people in my leadership style. And no matter what role I'm in, I feel like that's always my number one priority. So when I was writing mine, I really thought a lot about how does that play into what I do, because I know those are core values of mine and I know that's reflected in my leadership style. So I see that a lot throughout.
Mm-hmm. Your values are definitely, as it says, at the core. So that is your piece that's holding your whole philosophy together. And not only is it about leadership, but it's about you and yourself, which you have to be yourself in any situation because you is the best you can be. So having just the awareness, at least, of your core values can definitely impact in a positive manner on how you relate to yourself in terms of leadership and leading others.
Thinking about the personal experience question, I've had a lot of personal experiences where other leaders have shaped how I believe that I should be leading. Looking up to people who are in leadership positions definitely influenced me to kind of like think about my leadership style and who I want to, what values and skills do I want to emulate from those really influential leaders, and then what are some things that maybe worked for them that definitely won't work for me that I can kind of alter and make my own.
Thank you. Having those role models is insanely important. That you can also include that question of who do you look up to in terms of leadership can definitely impact who you are and how you lead, for sure. Jessica, is there anything in the chat?
There's not anything in the chat right now, but y'all can feel free to type something in and I can read it for you if you don't feel comfortable unmuting. All right, we do have one from Brooke. She says, core values that would describe and guide who I am as a leader would be equality and positivity. As a former volleyball player, I learned a great number of leadership skills. My coach taught me that a leader is someone who says, let's go do this together, whereas a boss instructs everyone around and acts better than anyone.
That's awesome. That's a good comparison. For sure, a leader is not the one just telling you what to do. They're the ones that are going there together. That's awesome. Plus your experience of being in volleyball has definitely shaped you as a leader. That's awesome. Thank you for sharing, Brooke.
Looks like we have a couple more. So Mia says core values. Oop, my chat just shifted. Core values for me would be positivity and a good mindset. Hard work is another core value. Hayden said, my expectation of myself and others is to be true and stick to what you plan to do.
That's awesome.
And Danielle says, how do you encourage and motivate your people? I try to give positive encouragement where I not only would try to just be positive towards others, but to show them that there are unfortunate scenarios where there are negatives, but how to solve through the negatives with critical thinking and understanding, having a grasp on the situation and keeping your head up throughout it.
That's awesome. I'm glad that you touched upon that there are negatives in life, despite being like positive all the time, which is awesome. Positivity is awesome. I try to encourage that every day in my leadership as well. But knowing that there are negatives and how to manage that into a positive is awesome. Thank you all for sharing. Those were awesome. I loved those answers. So we are going to go into a little step-by-step guide on how to create it and go through the process of creating your own personal philosophy. So the first thing you want to do is you want to reflect. So you want to reflect on who you are, what your values are, your goals, a view on what leadership means. We did a little bit of this today. So again, you guys are a head start. So your leadership definitions that you provided me earlier will definitely have an impact on your leadership philosophy. And then you want to also ask yourself those guiding questions, which we did. And you want to take down notes and jot down important points that you want to include. Again, this can kind of be messy. This is just you getting to know you and yourself and being able to put a little bit of work into figuring out what drives you for your leadership. The second thing you want to do is actually begin writing your personal leadership philosophy and putting a reflection of yourself into words. You can do this through short little sentences. You can start with blurbs. If you're more of a paragraph writer and just like want to go through it, you can do that, whatever way works for you. So you're starting to write your philosophy and getting the words out. The third thing you want to do is actually familiarize yourself with what you want written. So you want to get to know your philosophy like a friend. So you want to be able to, it's like a little cordial meeting like you met for the first time, and then you want to really get to know them and become best friends. And the more you know about your personal philosophy, the better you are able to put that philosophy into practice and go through it every day and use it as your filter so that you're able to have those positive impacts of filtering yourself and responding, being self-aware of yourself as well as the others. So familiarizing yourself is incredibly important. This is probably one of the most important steps, other than the first one on reflecting yourself. The fourth thing you would want to do when going through your leadership philosophy and developing it, you want to review and perfect it. So go through, so now that you're familiar with it, you're able to review it, go through it, maybe change a couple words here and there. Maybe you want to add something now that you think, oh, maybe I'm more prioritizing this than I originally thought. So you want to review it. This should take time. This is not going to happen overnight. This is not something you can be like, oh, got it done now. No, this is going to happen over time. It's a continuous process. And then you can always go back and reflect if you need to, familiarize yourself with it again, and then go back to review. So you can go between these steps in order to get that perfect leadership philosophy. And then the fifth thing you want to do is you want to actually put your philosophy into practice. So go through it, communicate it with others as well. Let people know what your philosophy is. Not only does that help them, but it also helps you. It gets them to know about who you are and how you are as a leader. And it allows you to further work on those impacts of consistency, of self-awareness, of connecting to yourself and others. And if through time your PLP in practice seems to not line up with how you are as a leader currently, you can always go right back to step one and reflect on yourself again. So having this is awesome. We will touch on it a little bit. I have some take-home resources for you that we'll talk about. but feel free if you want to like take a little quick snap of this in order for you to have that quick little summarized step-by-step guide for your leadership philosophy. So again, that's reflecting, begin writing, familiarize, review, and then put it into practice. Okay, give a little second. And then we'll go through it. All right, so I want to show you a couple examples of leadership philosophies. Some people have a leadership philosophy that's like 2 sentences. Some people have a leadership philosophy that are 2 pages. It's really up to that person. Typically, they're on the shorter end. It's not typically more than 2 pages. But the more you grow as a leader, the more you're in leadership positions, the more you'll definitely have to write about. And then some people also break it down into different sections. So they talk about 1 paragraph about their beliefs, 1 paragraph about their experiences, 1 paragraph about like their styles, and so on. So I will read this real quick so you can have a general idea. I also have 1 more that's a little shorter that I'll go through. And both of these come from Indeed.com, so it'll be easy for you guys to, if you need to refer back to it, it is on Indeed. So for this leadership philosophy, it says, leadership is about inspiring, encouraging others every step of the way. It's about building a positive environment where employees can thrive and use skills to the best of their ability. My support for others will foster healthy communications and innovative ideas. Leadership is about motivating others and providing them with the confidence they need to see their full potential. As a leader, it's important to be considerate of others' feelings and use everyone's passion for good. I value the opinion of others, respect their beliefs, and listen to their concerns with an open mind. I care about leading with heart and using my leadership platform to cultivate a positive place for growth. Ultimately, leadership is about being a strong leader that others can depend on. So for this one, they put their definition of leadership towards the bottom and at the top. So they have like 2 definitions, a quick little definition of what leadership means to them. They also talked about their beliefs. They talked about how they are going to encourage others with heart and positive place for growth. And they also talked about their skills and how they value having that positive environment and just being able to be supportive of those that can depend on them. The next one is a little bit shorter. It says, I believe being an effective leader relies on their passion for commitment and innovation. In order to build a strong company, a leader should be focused on reaching goals and creating advanced strategies that could propel the company forward. Leadership involves being determined to see everything through to completion and having the creativity to inspire new ways of thinking. I care about making an impact by doing what's needed for the company as a whole. I value dedication and persistence and listen to the needs of others along the path towards goal completion. I strive to be a leader that inspires others to do the same. In this one, you can clearly see that their main value is having things complete and following through and being dependable. They also had a different definition of leadership. They said leadership relies on their passion for commitment and innovation, while the other mentioned inspiring, encouraging others, and being a strong leader that others can depend on. They also focused on how they want to create advanced strategies and being creative and the impact as a whole as well. So those are just 2 little examples. Again, they may seem short, but it takes a lot to get to them and know yourself. And the leaders that created these, they know their leadership philosophy and they're able to refer back to it, communicate it, and be able to use it as their filter to be consistent and connect in their work. So we're going to talk a little bit about creating your own philosophy. I have a couple resources for you, which I believe either Jessica or Haley will put little links in the chat when we get to them. So I'm going to go through them. I'm going to explain them a little bit because each is a little bit different. And you can always refer back to this PowerPoint presentation on YouTube through the Leadership Center. This will always be a resource to you as well. So the first one is from LinkedIn. It's an informational worksheet. This summarizes what a PLP is and why it's important. So it has information at the top of it, as well as a step-by-step guide, very similar to the one I presented on, that will help create your personal leadership philosophy. So if I click on that real quick, it's a PDF document. So it has here the definition. Oops. It has the definition of a leadership philosophy, so it explains it a little bit as well. And then it has reminders for you and how to craft your own. And then the second page is a 5-step process for crafting your PLP. So it has questions for you that can help guide you to find out what your beliefs are. It also mentions more in depth about incidents in the past 2 weeks that you've made. So like taking recent occurrences and how have you managed to respond to those, and how you can use that experience to write about your leadership philosophy. As you can see, step 1 is pretty big. Step 2 and step 3, 4, and 5 have little descriptions as well. And then the next one is a little exercise worksheet. So this is more of a layout to help you organize your different parts of a PLP. So this part is not related, but here you can have a little worksheet that allows you to jot down what your beliefs are, your values, your principles, has a spot for your actual definition of leadership. And then how you lead, so how do you currently lead? That can also include your skills, your styles, your communication, everything. And then the effects on your organization. So what are your effects on the organization? What is your position? How do you go about that position? What does that position provide to the organization? Information like that. And then the next one is a slideshare presentation. It also has prompts for you. So the presentation is almost 20 slides long. The majority of it is about building a leadership philosophy. This one is in the sense of management, and it takes it more in the sense of using words to help guide you to develop your leadership philosophy. And then slides 13 through 17 actually provide those prompts and a layout to help you develop a PLP. So it's a little bit small, but that's okay. So then it has all the information you need right here. And then if you go through towards the end, it has a little, get there. So it says make a list of 10 words that represent your philosophy as a leadership. And those words will help you guide. They also have examples of words that you can use. So these are kind of like almost your values or how you do it. And then going down, they use the words again. So as a leader, I will, and then you pick 3 words. Through, how will you be that leader? And how will it result? And then my legacy as a leader will be, and then you can use 2 or 3 sentences for that. And then here's an outline that can help you write it. So as a leader, I will blank, through by blank, resulting in blank, and then you talk more about your legacy as well. And then it has a space where you can also complete it and your goals. So you can write a little bit about your goals as well. Are there any questions or anything you want me to retouch or go through? It's a lot of information at once, but again, you guys can have this resource as well. As soon as we get that pulled up and uploaded, that is more than welcome, and it's free for you guys to just like look at over and over. So that was our presentation. I do want to touch about a couple things that we have upcoming. So the Leadership Center actually has a course that you can take. I personally I did this my freshman year, and it got me to so many opportunities. I wouldn't be in SLC if it wasn't for the Leadership Center's Collegiate Leadership Competition Team, or CLC. It is a 2-credit class, and it's open to all majors, undergrad and graduate. It is an awesome experience. You get to compete with your leadership skills, and it's challenging, but in the best way possible. It really helps you understand who you are and who you are as a leader and what your skills are. And it looks really awesome on a resume if you're trying to build up that skill set. So you can register on Flashline. The CRN is 18774, or if you need more information, feel free to email the Leadership Center. It is an awesome experience. I highly, highly, highly recommend it. It's only 2 credits. I recommend, it's awesome. This is where I got started. You'll have so many opportunities, you'll meet so many different people. It's really awesome. We also, for the FYE students currently, you can go to this website here and type in the code 27187 to receive your credit. And then we also, in the Leadership Center, are providing a December giveaway. So any event that you attend, you can scan this QR code and enter your email address to be entered into a drawing raffle. And then I believe the more events that you attend, the more points or more entries that you receive. So I'll leave this slide up just for a hot second. So again, the FYE students, the code is on the screen. It's 27187, and the QR code as well.
And Andrea, I did pop in the chat the link for FYE as well as the code. So if it's easier for y'all to click on it in the chat, just know that it's there for you as well.
Thank you, Jess. And then we also provide you guys flash perks. So if you want to receive flash perks, if for those who may not know, are a series of points that you receive for attending events, and your points just grow and grow. So you can earn different prizes. This is through the Center for Student Involvement, which is where you also pick up prizes, but the more points you earn, the bigger the prizes you can earn. The first prize, I believe, is a $5 bookstore gift card, or a winter hat, or a nice little Padfolio. And then there's also t-shirts in there. I think one of the top prizes is $100 to the bookstore. I know I was definitely going to use that for books. It came in handy if I wanted it. Unfortunately, I am just enough there to get it. So they have awesome prizes. So if you want to receive flash perks, go ahead and email lead@kent.edu with your contact information, and they will get that all situated for you. Other events will also have this, so I highly recommend earning it. It is free prizes for doing what you want to do, so I highly recommend it. And then we have one final upcoming event coming up, so that is Thursday, December 10th, and that is our final Lessons in Leadership for this semester. We will be talking to Tiara Moore, who is the president of USG, and that is through a live stream on our Instagram. So that is at Kent State Leads. And it also is saved and reposted. So if you cannot attend on the 10th at noon, then you can go back and look at it again. Also feel free to follow us on Twitter and Instagram as we post all of our upcoming events, as well as other information that you may want to be interested in. And then we, as a Leadership Center, provide Leadership Institute annually, and this is for anyone. It's free. You can attend. You can register at kent.edu/csi/leadership. We have an awesome keynote speaker coming in. We have different breakout groups that you can attend. You can learn all about leadership. They offer strategies to help you develop the leadership skills necessary to maximize your career success. It is awesome. Save the date. And again, the link to register is up on the screen. And it is Saturday, February 20th, 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Then here are my resources, just in case. Are there any questions or anything you want me to review? I'll go back to the additional information just in case for you. Also, thank you guys for responding and participating in this workshop. I loved hearing your definitions of leadership. I am definitely going to go back and look at those because there's so many different points. I might actually pull some for my own definition when I'm developing my leadership philosophy.